Want to create some dramatic portraits? Well, I've got 5 tips to help you create portraits that go way beyond headshots. And I'm talking about artistic portraiture, where just about anything goes and your creativity takes center stage. All right, let's start off with my first tip. Use lots of shadow. Now, expression and pose can have a lot to do with the overall mood of a portrait, but generally speaking, portraits featuring more areas of light tend to feel more open and happy and airy and friendly, but more shadow makes the mood and atmosphere feel like there's something under the surface, something hidden or sad or serious and heavy. It's easy to create shadows by using fewer lights or positioning the light close to the subject. What happens here is when your camera settings are set up to get a good exposure on the subject and the light is fairly close to your subject, you're going to have a lot of just very fast light fall off anywhere past that plane of the subject. So the background goes dark really fast. And this means in just about any environment, you can make that background go dark. Just bring that light in close to the subject. You can also have your subject look away or just be anonymous. Eye contact with the camera is eye contact with the viewer. And that's how lots of times in a portrait, you make that human connection with the viewer. The subject's looking into the camera. Hence, when the viewer is looking at the image, the subject's looking at the viewer. And that's where the human connection comes in. But drama, lots of times, is more about what's going on in the scene or within the subject's mind, their emotions, their situation. It's not about the viewer. So if the subject's anonymous, sometimes the face is completely hidden or partially hidden, it makes room for the viewer to see someone they know in the story, or even themselves. This image, for example, is one of the ones I'd show my boudoir clients, and a lot of them, for some reason, gravitated towards this photo. They said that they really liked it. And I think a lot of people are drawn to images like that because it makes room for the viewer to make up their own story about what's going on. Leaves things kind of ambiguous. Next tip is to create a dramatic atmosphere within the frame. Now you can use the actual environment or a plain backdrop. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a dramatic environment to create a dramatic image. Just construct the drama within the frame. One of the best ways to do this is with lighting. The way you light up your background or your backdrop is how you can transform the perceived atmosphere into something moody, for example. Now, if lighting is something you'd like to learn, I highly recommend that you download the 10-minute guide to off-camera flash. And this is going to get you on the fast track to taking beautiful portraits with your flash. And this guide is free, and it also comes with the very handy camera bag checklist, photo shoot notebook sheets, and a couple of model release templates that I use for my portrait shoots. Click on the link in the video description below to get all of this for free. All right, the next tip is posing. Do over-the-top posing, dramatic posing, unusual posing. You can exaggerate a normal pose. You can play to a backstory. You work with your subject to create a character, do some play acting, and create some really interesting images this way. You can also just have your subject strike an unusual or an unnatural pose, and you'd be surprised at how interesting pictures created this way can turn out. Finally, use post-processing to enhance the mood or the story. Now, with my artistic portraiture, I kind of have a penchant for the dramatic, so I created some Lightroom presets to help me quickly experiment with different looks for some of the images that I make. And while developing these presets, I realized I was using looks and textures and elements that would evoke, psychological or subconscious associations with specific movie genres or themes. But you don't have to make or buy presets to do this. Just play around with some of the settings to enhance the mood, and you'll find some looks that you really like. And if you do save them as presets, you can just use them over and over again. All right, so I hope you enjoyed these tips. I want you to go out and experiment and create some dramatic portraits of your own. I think that's about all I've got for you today. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.